Down in the bottom right from the Shopify Rebellion, this is Scarlett. She was on the verge of 3-0ing Innovation last season in the playoffs.
Heartbreaking.
I know. Our food was here. It was already getting cold. I was like, it's a 3-0. We can go and eat. And then 1 hour later, we actually finished because Innovation turned it all around. But it was a very cool series. It was cool to see Scarlett so dominant in those games, early game especially. She set herself up really, really well. Had a lot of cool Ling movement against Hellions and so on. One of the things that kind of swayed me toward Time a little bit was that this first game is played on the Korean server, and to me that's a little bit odd, but it does make some kind of sense, right? You know, Time isn't in Korea, so he also has ping to Korea. Obviously, if they just play on US West, Scarlett has a ping advantage there, so it makes sense. First game Korea, second and third game will be US West, so a little favorable for Time to begin with. And something that ZG said actually was that she thinks, you know, if Scarlett can win the first map, she thinks she can go all the way, but maybe gets thrown off if Time wins map 1. I was like, okay, I can get behind that line of thinking. As it just set up very standard, of course, so far. Starting on Blackburn, as ZG also mentioned, it's a map that Scarlett seems to like playing. I imagine that's because it's fairly good for some of the Roach styles, and Scarlett is never afraid of throwing some different stuff in there, some more aggressive stuff. While she is typically spread the creep and play Ling Bane, she isn't afraid, you know, she doesn't shy away from them more aggressive attacks either.
Yeah, that is something that Scarlett definitely has under her belt, is she is a player that is willing to diversify and go on either ends of the extreme of hyper-perfect StarCraft 2 macro style, as well as also mixing in some of the early attacks and all-ins and all kinds of crazy stuff. So always have to keep an eye on what she's going to be throwing out there. But I do think that this is also going to be a pretty interesting match, because I think that realistically, if most people look at this group, Dark is going to be, Dark is going to be a very, very tough opponent to beat. Probe is probably going to be the massive underdog for the group, right? So this actually very possibly could end up also being the decider match. So this is potentially going to be setting the story for our final match of the day, if things go as a lot of people would predict.
The only thing I'll say to that is I actually do like Time in TVZ against the Koreans, and while he does sometimes get rolled, he can have very promising games, and especially against Dark. Time Dark has frequently been like a long 30-minute kind of back-and-forth game, and then Scarlett always has stuff up her sleeve in ZVZ. Yeah. If I had to pick a matchup for Scarlett to cause upsets in, it's ZVZ too, right? So then I'm like, I'm 100% with you, but I'm like, well, actually, for Dark, I feel like this is like almost a scarier group, because it isn't a group of players that he's just confident against all of the time. Because they can mix up that little bit. That factory miss landed on the reactor, so slowed down a little bit as we just see a 3cc opening. So just going to be getting up to 3 command centers. Lots of economy right away. Good little grenade there. Gets a Zergling kill, so already some nice micro out of Time. And obviously we're just waiting to see exactly what comes up next. If Scarlett wants to go into a quicker lair, if she wants to get Evo chambers rolling, typically we're expecting that faster lair in most of the maps nowadays.
Yeah, Scarlett able to continue spreading that creep, as she might be known as the Queen of Blades, but she is in fact also the Queen of Creep spread, known by a lot of people. So that's going to be a big priority for her, and especially on a map like this, getting that creep through the center and just allowing yourself to do those fast reinforcements really going to open up a lot of those opportunities, and even gets pretty important when you start talking about like how the gold base and stuff plays out on this map. So I'm really interested to see what exactly the style that we were talking about Scarlett's going to end up going for, as she does get a Ling in. Sees basically everything she'd want to see. She sees Time in the 3rd CC. I think the only thing that she maybe misses, like, oh, it's a Viking first and everything, but not seeing anything else on the starport is going to be a pretty good reveal of what could be coming out of that.
Yeah, the only other thing it could be is a Liberator, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, she sees the Viking now with the Overlord here, so if she hadn't got an Overlord killed, she's like, okay, well, Liberator. It's actually going to be a Liberator on the way, so this is kind of was a popular style once, like this double kind of starport unit into Stim fairly quickly. It's something that Clem always liked a lot of, just kind of Viking, Lib, very standard, can harass a whole bunch, get your stim up quickly so you're into your next stage of the game without too many issues. And it still is very standard. We just have been seeing a few Terrans playing that bit more aggressively, a few more Cloak Banshee openings because there's been so many Roaches and so on and so forth. So, yeah, kind of cool as nice creep spread denial, and of course, Scarlett may be very good at creeping, but if Time denies it, it will be slowed down at least a little bit. Always feels important to get that underway when you're playing Scarlett.
No, 100%. And I mean, even the creep spread being slowed down a little bit makes it a little bit harder for the Queens to react to other things, like, say, a Liberator that's going to be moving into one of the bases. So far, though, Scarlett has really just been pounding out as many of those drones as possible, getting up to the 60s pretty soon with 5 more on the way, and just yeah, using the queens to try and push back the Hellions. This is always a funny map to me because I do feel like it's a little bit easier to just kind of take your queens and get through the center and say, like, you can't enter from this area. Hellions have to go a kind of longer way through, like, the slow zones and other things to actually get around to another angle, even try and poke in.
I'm very intrigued as to where Scarlett takes this overall. I mean, Evo Chambers start now. Looks like we're just going to get straight into Aspire, right? And just kind of play Bane Speed, Mutas, Ling Bane Muta. I don't know if I like that much on Blackburn, though, right? Okay, that was okay, you saved the Liberator. I was like, maybe you get a Queen, but there's transfusions anyway. But back to my point, Ling Bane Muta on this map can be a little intriguing because you're very limited in how many run-by options you have, right? Either you're coming in at some point via the, the space between the natural and the third, or you're coming in from the top side of the map. And that kind of gets me a little concerned overall. Maybe Mutas from the other side of the gold base could be kind of cool. We have a lot of gas in the bank, so maybe we ain't going to drop the Spire still, and we're just kind of waiting, and maybe we just go Hydra Den and Lurkers further down the line. I actually think I might like that more. As for now, we do drop on in, and we are going to have these Marines just coming straight on through, and this is something Scott wasn't immediately prepared to deal with, and these Marines get into a good spot to trade, but yeah, the Lings responded fast enough. Lib comes back, though, and that's why it's so important to keep that Liberator alive as long as possible earlier for moments like this one.
Yeah,
Oh.
Hellions actually distracting Scarlett, so the Liberator is still working away at things, and now the Hellions get into a nice spot.
Wow.
Roasting and toasting a lot of drones and also a lot of the Zerglings as well. And now the drop comes back in. Remember, Scarlett may have a Baneling nest, but she didn't actually make any Banelings, so these Marines, whenever they get to fully unload, it does take a bit of a toll to clean those up or to push them back in the medevacs.
Earlier this year, Scarlett played a lot of games in ZVT against Korean Terran players when she played in the World Team League for Shopify Rebellion, and her issue would be she couldn't get to the 10-minute marker without being behind. And I said this a lot when we were doing like the talk about playing Innovation last season in the season finals in the round of 8. And she completely turned that around. She had her early game looking perfect, and obviously that is just not here at the moment. You can't take this kind of damage. That wasn't just the drones. That was a hell of a lot of Lings that went down to those Hellions, right? Yeah. And now you've got to push where time is up in upgrades for a few moments. 20 supply ahead, most of that in army. Scarlett doesn't even have a worker lead. I don't even know what you do right now. I guess you're going to go jump in on top of these tanks. One never got sieged. I mean, it's nice to get a siege tank, but I don't even know if that's all that great if you end up losing the gold base here. Time's about to get its own gold up and running back at home. Scarlett has to fight right now, and she might be able to do it, I guess, against just one tank, but what stops time lifting up and leaving?
Yeah, you should be able to just pick up at least a handful of the Marines. 2 medevacs load up and get out of there. The Banelings get mostly utilized on those Marines. Now there's only 3 Banelings left over, and the Marines just gonna unload in another location where there aren't the Banelings. Focus fires down the Banelings as they come in. Does eat one at the end, but that was all of the Banelings there for Scarlett. She is not even making more. She's making Mutas right now, and she's going to need those for the other drop that's coming on the bottom side.
I mean, Mutas are just I just don't understand why the Spire didn't start sooner, and now, obviously, Mutas are like the last thing you want to be building, unless you had lava issues, because Mutas just don't do much if time consolidates his army and just goes for one big push. Top right is denied. Mutas are dying as they spawn in the main. Now the drones are in trouble here as well, and time is just completely overrunning this bottom side main base. Yeah, this might be a cleanup from Scarlett, but it's a freaking expensive one because all the drones go down, Mutas are falling, and Scarlett is going to fall in this first game a little bit as well as time starts up 1-0 in really just dominating fashion, just out multitasking Scarlett really with attacks everywhere.
Yeah, it's definitely looking dark for Scarlett as it was for us for a moment. But guys, it is going to be a really, really tough battle for Scarlett if the next game goes something like that again. So, like you said, time to straight up out multitasking Scarlett there, where it's all started with the early harassment, right? Where it was first there's a little bit of harassment with the drop that does get deflected and everything, but then we had the Liberator coming around, and then the Hellions get into the mineral line, and it's like Scarlett just taking a little bit too much damage and losing not just the drones like you were saying, it was the Lings. Losing the Lings means that you don't even have the opportunity to just say, I'm just going to re-drone everything, because you need to remake those.
I didn't like this push from time. I know what he's thinking of doing, but it's funny, like, it didn't work because Scarlett was behind, so she didn't have a gold-based economy, right?
There was no drones there.
Yeah, exactly. So actually, that was kind of weird, but not, in time's fault, really. It was such an interesting kind of game, and a couple of things I want to talk about, because first of all, Korean server, right? And it's very possible it's one of those things where, yeah, ping doesn't necessarily slow you down so much when it comes to like being out of position and stuff, but if you don't get in the right flow, if you feel like, oh, everything's going slow, then it can like mentally get to you. that can be a big thing, right? So that's something to keep in mind. And maybe she looks way sharper in game number 2 on the American server, and maybe that's just, something we can talk about then. The other thing is, obviously, she knows that she's playing, off server first, and she did pick Blackburn. That was her choice, right? Yeah. So that's one of the questions I kind of have. Like, maybe she picks Blackburn, which ZG says she likes as a map, but it's also the more Terran map, right? It's one of the usual Zerg vetoes. So maybe she's like, okay, I'll give you maybe the slightly better Terran map, even if I like it, on my off server. And now I've got maybe my better map still to come on server, right?
Yeah.
I could imagine that being a thing as well. There's a lot of mind games, a lot of thought that goes into the planning of these series. So a couple of things to keep in mind as we ready up. I actually just got notified the first game is played on Taiwan, not Korean. So the Korean server, but actually the Taiwanese section of the Korean server, which I feel like is even better for time. Not gonna lie.
I guess I have to imagine so. But it's like you were saying, like if you manage to say like I play Blackburn different than a lot of other Zergs and I feel more comfortable here, then you maybe do take that first victory, and then you're going to basically like another map that maybe you feel a little bit more comfortable on Americas as well. So, well, we're going to be moving on to Lightshade next for game number 2, Wardy, and I'll say, like, again, if Time is able to bring it out as well as he did in that last game and Scarlett can't keep up with it, this might be another short game, so I'm really hoping things turn around.
Let's see what is going to go down in the bottom right-hand side. Up 1-0 from Kai Z Gaming. This is Time.
And up here in the top left-hand side of the map, the blue Zerg player from Shopify Rebellion. She is Scarlett. Wardy, Scarlett has definitely been one of those big fan favorites for a very, very long time, but she's been around for a long time. I know for sure, and I think even she would admit it, there have been times where I think you kind of start feeling a little bit burnt out on StarCraft and stuff. I don't actually think this has been one of those times, though. Scarlett has, like, at least whenever I've talked to her, she has been pretty focused on StarCraft and, like, enjoying playing and everything. She's been putting in a lot of the time and everything, so I'm really hoping that she can turn the series around and kind of show us some of the stuff that maybe she was hoping to bring today.
Absolutely. No, honestly, I keep thinking back to the Innovation series, and she can step it up, and that was one of the big things for me, as this obviously gas and pool early in the game, so this is probably aggression from Scarlett. That's why I was so hesitant to say Time, right? Because I look back and she had that great result. The only thing that then threw me maybe back onto Time again a little bit was like, well, actually, when you look at the other results, that was her one really good ZVT result. And it came, and it was almost a 3-0, but even then she lost it. She stumbled, she fell. Oh, it's meant to be a close series, and that's what we're getting. Hopefully, because Scarlett's going to do something, I think, just a little bit more aggressive. I think that's going to be very fun to see how exactly it plays out. It's going to be a really, really quick ling speed.
We'll see also when Time decides to actually scout us out, is he did send out an SCV scout who's going to move in over here. And, okay, so this is really funny. He moves in and sees the hatchery timing, which can reveal a little bit over here, but he doesn't see the lings. He doesn't go into the main base or anything and scout out anything else.
Don't think he needs to. Knowing that it's pool first, he could go into the main, but a lot of the time you go into the main, you lose the SCV. At least now you get the SCV alive. The idea being that SCV staying alive is the most important thing. He can already adjust his build. He's going to go double gas here, for example. He's keeping the Reaper at home. The biggest question is, does Scarlett want to do something more than just this ling speed? The answer so far seems to be no, not really. But like I say, ling speed will be fairly quick, so there will be a few moments here where Time maybe is in a little bit of trouble. But I don't know how much, because it's not like the lings are going to be in time to cancel the command center, right? That's going to be finished, so that's going to be okay. Even if these lings jump on the SCV now, it can finish, it lifts in. Yeah, SCV is fine. Well, okay, SCV is no longer fine, but yeah, one SCV is fine. It's just now we build extra lings, and I guess you're just really, really hoping you can catch the first Hellions, but there's actually Marines being built 2 at a time, so Time's actually going to go, I think, Cyclone and just be like really defensive in case there's roaches. Which isn't as good against the lings, but because it's not like 20 plus lings, it's just like 10 or so, I actually think this is perfectly fine for Time. He looks like he's in a good spot.
Yeah, looks like the lings will be able to force the Reaper into a position where he does get sniped off, and Orbital Command should be able to lift. These lings are not going to be able to find a whole lot more damage, and this is more than just the 4 lings initially. Scarlett was definitely looking to do a bit of something here, and I guess the most that she is doing is denying some mining time, but it's also kind of unfortunate, right? Because the Orbital Command finishes, so like the first mule gets dropped down, you're building up energy on that Orbital. even if you're not mining for that natural command center is still getting some value.
Yeah, I mean, overall, she's scared Time into not building Hellions immediately, but I don't even think that's so bad for Time because, you know, it's not like Scarlett did this all for free. She did cut into her economy a little bit. She did mine that gas. That could have just been minerals early. Those are things which really add up, as now we do land the orbital down. Yeah, maybe two SCVs, 3 SCVs down from what he could have been because the orbital had to lift up, which is something, like I say, but let's see what Scarlett does next from here. As she has got the gas, we're kind of waiting for her to make her move, right? Are we going to see a lair coming up? Are we about to drop double Evo? A Baneling nest before anything else. That's kind of wonky as well. That usually says that she's a little bit afraid of what Time is doing, but Time isn't really set up to attack immediately, at least.
Yeah, Time does have both of the barracks there and is, of course, getting up stim, but he is just going to be swapping off that starport to the reactor to get out that first set of medevacs, and that is when he's going to be able to finally put some pressure out on the map. I guess one other nice small thing that happens with this kind of opening is that Scarlett at least delays maybe the beginning of the supply depot wall and all that stuff, so if she decides to threaten a counterattack later on, might be an opportunity, but for now, she's really just thinking, okay, get up my Spore Crawlers, get up my Baneling Nest, think about the next wave of aggression that my opponent's going to go for.
I do just worry a little bit for Time, because usually, right, this attack hits a lot sooner, right, it's a lot cleaner and so on. I do just worry a little bit that if he attacks right now and Scarlett holds on like 60 workers, Time's only on 38 SCVs. He really needs to find some damage here. Scarlett is already making some extra Lings right now, although those Hellions are going to fight the Heroics and not the Lings. Not the end of the world. Now, I'm a little bit worried because it doesn't feel like Time's going to find that much here. Let's see how the fight goes. There are not any Banelings ready. 5 of them just started.
There's actually Lings dying somewhere right now, as we do have a few more Lings popping on out. It's mostly going to be about the Queens being able to transfuse each other, but the Banelings are not quite finished up. A lot of the Marines are starting to fall, and the medevac number 1 does get focus fire down. 2 Queens remain at the end when the Banelings finish up, but honestly, I feel like Time is finding some pretty decent damage here.
Yeah, this is fine. This is a really good trade. This is along the lines of what you needed to get done, I think. Okay, you didn't get any work damage done, but resetting that Queen count down heavily, that's obviously big. I would love if these Marines can stay on the map now and get some more creep spread, though. He still is almost 20 workers down. That's the one thing to look at, but he's going to be at least ahead on upgrades. 1-1 starred, and Evo's not on the way yet from Scarlett. We'll see if Scarlett plays just Ling Bane, or if she does want to maybe go into Aspire. It's only 4 gas right now, so it doesn't look like she's immediately wanting to tech.
Man, Time, of course, losing 1 or 2 Marines here and there, but I love that he's able to poke in repeatedly and find the Baneling specifically. He just keeps finding these little opportunities. The Banelings have to threaten those Marines, but as soon as they get close, snipes off 1 or 2 of them and then picks up and backs off and just rinse and repeat. Also picking off a lot of the creep spread. Scarlett's going to try and respread over here because she really needs to connect these bases, and oh boy, not having the bases connected is going to make it hard to take that base.
Yeah, this is actually really tough because that's a slowed down 4th base. That's definitely going to have an effect. And like you say, you know, the creep spread being denied, you have to respread it. But remember that she's down from where she's meant to be when it comes to Queens because she lost so many. We're talking about 5 Queen kills early, so that's a lot of energy you're missing over time. And that's something that will go a long way as Time keeps the distraction up on this right side, has got a drop heading to the left. I don't even know if I want this to do anything rather than just clean out creep over here, maybe give you another option to where to attack. Is going to find a drone lineup to take a base, so nice to just shut down that idea before it even gets started.
Yeah, a couple of Widow Mines in this drop as well, and a handful of them are going to try and burrow. We'll see if they're able to get some big shots off.
Yeah, they did good, because they're going to get out alive, right? At least a couple.
Yeah, decent shots. Loses 1 or 2 of the Widow Mines over there, but still keeps those medevacs and everything else alive. And that drop on the north side going to continue to try and poke in and try and find some more creep, but Queens are in position. Find some of the active creep tumors at least, and 1-1's about to finish up.
You know, in all of this time has been catching up on the work count. His 3rd base came up, so now he's only down 4 workers. While Scarlett would have loved to be in 4th base finish, 75
by
drones.
Out the south, though. Maybe going to find something. Oh, she backs off, and she's got some Banelings ready.
Okay, let's see what Time's reaction looks like, because this is very important. Immediate.
Super fast.
Yeah, and look how many Marines he's got. This is so bad. These Banelings to get, like, what, 1 SCV? Nothing really done there. And losing Lings on this side. Scarlett's supply is plummeting, and we've once again got a few short moments where maybe with 1-1 finished as well, Time can make a really scary push right here.
Yeah, he just took all of the units that were defending that 3rd base and says, well, I can just attack you now. You just won't have enough units, and I think that he very well could be right. Unless these Banelings are some really, really, really lucky Banelings, but well, they do manage to dodge out of the way of the Widow Mine shots and clean up some of the frontline Marines.
But this is also just fine for Time because he's also just still trading well. It's not like he's throwing everything he has into this. 2-2 upgrades are on the way. An extra factory is coming up. He is already thinking about the future in this game as well. A 4th command center should not be too far behind all the rest of this, right? If that doesn't come up in the next minute or so, I'd be surprised. So Time really is setting up to play the longer game, and this is nice from Scarlett because she's actually going to find a group of units here that were just not really supported by much. There's the medevacs now to come and lift up and evacuate. Still has this drop on the top side to deal with as well, as Time has to defend on the bottom side.
Yeah, and with the Lings also over here to help support, it does make it more complicated for these Marines to just deal with the Banelings like they did before.
Oh, no.
Oh, supply depot didn't quite raise in time, but is mostly going to come out of this relatively unscathed. 5 workers killed off and a handful of Marines, but that means that now Time can focus on this push at the front and finds a lot of morphing Banelings, but Scarlett has enough reinforcements to help defend. The 2-2 upgrade is going to be quite a ways away, and we're already starting to see that army supply lead starting to actually, Scarlett's been able to catch up quite a bit in that, so not doing as bad as before.
Time is actually throwing a lot into the future of these attacks right now. Drilling claws, liberators, but I said I'd be surprised if there was no 4th CC soon, and there has not been a 4th CC. And that means Time is being a little bit more committed here, right? He maybe isn't looking to the future as much. And Liberators especially, a couple of things you can do with Libs. Obviously, A, harass with them, but B, they can really rally behind a big push and really just be that constant damage output if Lings and Banes want to start trying to stream through. While there's a lot of overkill there, they do pick off stragglers if you run in, engage, back away.
Nice.
So that's something to look at. Yeah, kill on that base. That is absolutely huge, as this run by itself might just do a lot of time. What are you doing? Nothing at all in the natural, apparently, as these Banelings get 11 workers. Does save the orbital at least, but oh, that was massive for Scarlett.
Yeah, for those who were not looking at the mini-map, there was an aggression on 2 fronts there for Time as he was making the drop in the bottom left and the drop in the north side. He's now starting to move in to try and get some counter damage with, but definitely taking quite a bit. He needs to get something here.
There's no that is the Banelings now. I was going to say, there was no Banelings initially, and there is +2 attack at least, so the Marines are killing the Lings pretty quickly. Going to drop into the main base, keeping the action going. I would love for Time to go back and restart the 4th, though, because I really see that as being his biggest problem right now. Obviously, he might want to focus on rebuilding some SCVs, etc. Another decent fight in the main. This is a lot of Marines in the game. This is the Marine count that you need Banelings to deal with, and Lings just keep streaming into this. Really, really good trade for Time. Obviously, is losing some Marines, but good value gotten here. As now it looks like we're going to join these units back up over here. Where did the other medevacs go? They're just to the top? Okay.
Yeah, 4th base is finally getting started back up again for Time as, remember, it got killed earlier on, so he really is going to be delayed on that, and only now getting that up. It's great that he's been able to get a lot of this damage up, but might end up losing one of the Liberators over here. Oh, nice. I don't know if that was focus fire from Scarlett, but gets the low health one. Yeah.
Yeah, not 100% sure. It could have been, though, as this medevac gets shot down too. Scrappy game we got going on right now, as this Liberator will just be that little bit more annoying. These worker pulls, lost binding time does add up, as Scarlett, big moment for her. She's on her way to that Ultralisk Cavern, and she's also overtaken on the upgrade timing. If she gets to Ultras and further upgrades, I think she is going to have a really, really good time in this game. But Time is also now starting up Widowmine drops, and they are very important because they're going to do a ton of damage. 14 drones, some Banes on top. And that's a fantastic start for the first one, and there are more lining up while creep spread is denied in the middle.
Yeah, the creep spread denial is also going to be extremely big over here, as it is going to shut down the vision and also make it more difficult to deal with some of the subsequent drops. We got another Widowmine drop coming on in, hits the larva, hits a lot of the drones. Oh my god, Stretch Armstrong, Widowmine, finding the drones, 26 drones going down recently. And even though Scarlett is staying okay in the worker count, she is spending a lot of her resources just remaking the workers, and you can see she doesn't have that many more minerals actually banked up over here. She would love to be able to just invest this into things like getting that Ultralisk transition set up.
Yeah, especially right now when like the Ultralisk Den is finished. Titan is playing, needs to start. You want to start building your Ultras, but yeah, she isn't very rich because of what's happened so far. That's a nice Widowmine, actually hits only the Lings, and looks like that Planetary will get up. There are tanks defensively here, so she cannot attack into this space. I wonder what Time does, because if he knows that Ultras are kind of on the way, and he likely will have seen the Hive, etc. at this stage, then we're kind of in that position, right, where I'm assuming we can maybe just slow this game down a little bit, right? If he knows that this is coming, which he does, he's seen the Ultra Cavern, slow the game down, play defensively. These Ultras can't do much, and Time is a really, really good late game player. So Scarlett, but Time as well, so it could be quite the clash as Scarlett's still trying to get a lot done. She hasn't quite realized exactly that, you know, Time is slowing this game down, loses a hatchery here. And if she doesn't realize that and she keeps playing like, as speedy as time was before, that's where she's going to take a lot of losses ineffectively, and this is just free queens.
Yeah, those were all of the creep spreading queens as well, and now Time is going to get a lot of creep in exchange as well. This is going to be pretty brutal for defending the north side. A lot of Scarlett's units are just on the south of the map.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
The one Baneling that connects to so much. I was going to say, there's no units running over there. Then an Ultra popped. I was like, okay, but you don't have chitinous. And you saw like the first volley. That Ultra was like, oh wow, I do not have chitinous. That hurts. But does have that now, as we are going to get anabolic synthesis as well. Also getting pathogen glands, so looking for the fungal growth potential in the future, as this is going to be a big attack here. But you actually do need to do more than just killing depots. It's a lot of Banelings for not much done. At the same time, we're hitting the plantry. These Ultras are showing up. There's not really a lot of anti-Ultra right now, just these few Marines, and that's going to be the biggest problem of all. But there comes a few reinforcements, and Scarlett is once again leaving. Scrappy game at the moment, Fear Dragon.
It's definitely turning extremely scrappy as we see a handful of Marines even just pulling a few of these Lings back. Scarlett, I think, finally trying to retake that bottom left-hand base. The Spore Crawler finishes off that medevac. We got Liberators trying to get in position potentially to move back either for defense or maybe even just from harassment. But Scarlett, during all this, has been able to get up more of that tech, though. The Infestors being added in can pair so well with this composition she's gone for.
She's really had just a massive income lead for a long time. Time has been stuck a bit on 55 to 60 workers.
Oh my god, talk about blue.
Yeah, and obviously Time's okay somewhat because he's been trading very well throughout, but there is a stage at which he just needs to get his own economy, and he does have the fourth base setting up, and this fight is, well, I mean, kind of an interesting one. You get rid of the Ultras, so then the Lings go down too, and he's killing drones at the same time. This Spore is going to relocate, but so will the Liberator. And down in the bottom left, we have, okay, another Liberator here. And over here, still no Baneling showing up, so another Ultra goes down. Do we get one more? Yes, we do. So many Ultras fall in Fear Dragon. What a massive couple of moments from Time. He gets so much done while killing drones. This is massive for Time.
This is doing incredible amounts of damage right now. Where are the Infestors? The Infestors finally coming on forward.
Oh my god.
That.
I mean, the Fungals go down, but you lose 2 Infestors, and oh my goodness, drones are still dying here as well. I mean, Scar's got 80 drones, but when 20, 30 of them are running around the map, not sure where they can mine from, that ain't good. Another Infestor. Such expensive losses for Scarlett, and Time is still everywhere.
Scarlett's army supply right now, Wardy, is 27, and all she has in production are 2 Infestors. She's got 40 Lings and 2 Infestors on the way. That's it. Time.
Oh my goodness.
In a magnificent 2 or 3